Alright, what's going on, the people? How you doing? It's a serious one today. Like, we've got coffee. So if I speak any faster than normal, then it's not because I've sped this up. It's just me being like off my face on caffeine. So we're talking about a really niche topic today, and that's the National Hill Climb Championships. And I've been wanting to do this video for a while, but I feel like this week is an ideal time to do it because Saturday I have a hill climb event organised by Didcot, I don't know, is it Didcot Cycling Club? Anyway, they're organising an event on Streatley, which is a hill in Berkshire, I believe. And that is where the National Hill Climb Championships is going to take place in about 4 weeks and like 3 days time or something like that. So doing this now is appropriate. Doing it before that event, the test event on the weekend, is appropriate because it gives us something to look at prior, it gives us something to look at after, and then it gives us something to look at before the Nationals again. So 3 different points of reference. But what I want to get into today is basically to give you some knowledge and some background behind this year's National Hill Climb Championships, because I have to say there's not a lot of stuff out there. Like, unless you're on Facebook and you follow like what's going on there with the updates, not that there is a lot of updates because, well, there isn't really a lot to update you on when there's a hill climb event, but I want to like kind of delve into, you know, the climb itself, how it differs to obviously last year's climb, and then like what it's going to take to podium or, you know, even get a top 10, and what it's going to take to change my physiology. Not that I can in a month, but I'll explain a little bit about that anyway. You can probably understand a lot of it if you follow me up till now. But yeah, without further ado, let's just get on into it. I'm going to show you my screen. So let's switch over to that now. Streatley Hill. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see where we are actually at. Here it is, just outside Reading, south of Oxford. This climb is, I've ridden it. So it's supposed to take place the weekend of like the 24th and 25th of October. It's the weekend before Halloween. And this climb is 0.75 of a K, so 750 meters at 13%. But if we look at the profile of it, you can see it is, you know, fairly shallow to begin with, and then just goes ridiculously steep through some trees. The tarmac is horrible. Don't quote me on that. That's what the locals say. And it kind of flattens off towards the finish, but it's, you know, it's not a flat section. So I went there like last winter, and I had a look at it, and I realised that it was going to take completely different effort to obviously the Nationals that I won last year. That is, context for some of you, 11.5 minute effort. And this is going to be, I think, 2 to 2 minutes 10 for the winner, possibly even sub 2. And I'll get to why in a second. But here's the leaderboard so far. And up until Andy Nichols visited this hill a couple of weeks back, Isaac Mundy, who I've been on the same team with actually a couple of years ago, had the KOM. And when I looked at the effort and I saw the watts per kilo for 2 minutes and 26 seconds, I thought, yeah, that's not going to be, that's not a fast time. Like 2 minutes 26 seconds of the Nationals will not be a fast time. So I thought to myself, you know, someone's going to try it. Andy tried it not long afterwards, and he did 547 watts, which I can pull up here for you to give him a 2 minutes and 20 second time. But there's two different things that we're looking at here. So we're looking at his 2 minute effort, and then we're looking at his whole effort. So the 2 minute effort, we're not going to look at the speed too much, even though I always say to people that we seem to forget that the fastest guy up the climb is not the guy with the most watts per kilo, although, you know, that generally is a trend as well. It's often the guy who has the highest average speed. Yeah, simple. So it doesn't just come down to, you know, your fitness, your ability. It also comes down to, you know, the bike and the equipment you ride. So hence why we're trying to shave like a kilo at least off my hill climbing bike currently to get it down to like sub 6. and therefore, you know, that would save me from doing, you know, half a watt per kilo more, for example. I've just thrown those numbers out there, don't quote me on that. But anyway, looking at Andy's effort for the first 2 minutes, and we can see he did 587 watts, 9.8 watts per kilo. This is obviously based on his weight that he's entered in his settings. Whether or not that's right or not, we have to, you know, take it with a pinch of salt. If we go to the whole climb, which, bearing in mind, hill climb events don't always use, they don't use Strava segments, funny enough, we can see a drop off at the end. However, his speed does increase, which indicates that the gradient is lessening. However, you know, if he finished stronger in that finish there than he had done at the start, his speed would have increased at the end at a greater rate, and he probably would have finished maybe 1 or 2 seconds faster, which at the Nationals will mean the difference between a win and a lose, because the difference on a short course like this between a win and a lose is going to be seconds, or a second, versus, you know, last year on a longer climb it was like, you know, well, it was like almost a minute, 2 minutes to like the guy who's in 10th place. It obviously becomes a lot shorter band, a shorter range when you have a shorter climb. So Andy does a spectacular effort, and, you know, 2 minutes and 20 seconds at 9 watts per kilo, but he definitely drops off in that last 30 seconds. My best, again, I'm being transparent as possible, just like I always am, and this ironically is a rough, like, stab at a KOM that's out in the middle of nowhere, up a lane, again, very slippery, rough tarmac near me. I did ride a fair bit to get there, rode an hour and a half to get there, but it was a 600 metre climb at 12.5%, which is not that far off what Streatley is going to be, and it took me 220, give or take, and I did 504 watts and 8.5 watts per kilo. And there, my friends, is my Achilles heel. That was as hard as I could go. Now granted, I did a hill climb the day before, and I travelled back from it, so it was a long drive, and, you know, then you've got to get up the next day and do this ride that I did. But that there's my Achilles heel. So over the next 4 and a bit weeks, we're going to see how we can transform, you know, a 2 minute effort in effect from, you know, 510, 520 odd watts to a 550 plus. I'm even going to shoot and be ambitious and say 600 watts. If I could do 600 watts for 2 minutes, that would be gold standard. But of course, that would be very, very hard to achieve. It's almost like changing my whole kind of training regime, my whole kind of training philosophy, and my own physiology over the course of the next couple of weeks. So this would be interesting if you want to follow along to see how I do make these gains, and if I do make these gains in this general direction. Coming from somebody who, the reason why I'm so strong, shall we say, over the, you know, the 10, 20 minutes and even further out power durations, is because over the last 8-9 years when I've been road racing, my body's now got very used to, and the training has all been geared to, you know, stage races, long climbs, VO2 max efforts, whereas these are like entirely anaerobic efforts that really, yeah, I mean, yes, they win you bike races on the road, but, you know, particularly the ones that I've been aiming for on the road, they're not the same effort. So I'm having to change everything, and not like a massive drastic change, but it's just interesting to see what happens over this time period. So there we have that. Now, predictions, and you all know, if you follow the British hill climbing scene, there's a couple of riders who are, you know, in particularly very, very good shape and can be very competitive over like the 5 minute climbs and the 1 minute climbs. Sorry, what's going on with this hair? Anyway, we keep it rolling. I'm going to show you a guy called Callum Brown, who is a hot favourite for winning the British Hill Climb Championships this year. If we went up against each other on like a 30-second effort, 45-second effort, regardless of his weight, which is around about, I don't know, 10 to 15 kilos heavier than me, which is, you know, still not, you wouldn't call him a big cyclist. He's just very, very strong, very, very lean, very strong. He can do 1,000 watts for a minute. And he was doing a session the other day where he did, I think it's 6 by 30-second efforts with a huge amount of recovery in between, which is what you want. obviously the longer the recovery, the more you can give in the effort. I think it's 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes in some cases between these. And he's banging out 11 watts per kilo for a minute, no problem. My best ever 1 minute, by the way, is 660 watts, and I haven't come close to that yet this year. And that was 11 watts per kilo, my best ever 1 minute. Can I repeat that? No. So he's gone out and done, 6 1 minute efforts at my watt per kilo, my peak 1 minute watt per kilo. So it's a very interesting side of hill climbing. You've got one end, you've got these guys who can do bang, one effort or a couple of efforts that are really, really short. And then you got kind of my end of the scale who, I can do kind of anywhere between 8 and 20 minute, anything over 8 minute climbs, and I'm away, like, see you later. But then it's the other end of the scale that I'm like, whoa, like, what is this? Like, this is very weird for me. So my predictions, I would really, really like to see, I don't know who's gonna, it's really, the Nationals is a difficult one because, anybody can turn up sort of thing, and, you haven't seen them all season and they show up, and just because they've got like a really, really good anaerobic effort in them, they actually get like a top 3 or top 4, and that's like, whoa, where did this guy come from? But then, you have someone like myself who's on the scene all the way through the hill climb season, and then I come like 15th. But that's, even for me, like a 15th in this national championships, I'd be like, I'm happy with that. Like that's a sound ride. But this national hill climb championships, I'm going to be more about my own effort. I'm going to be more about what I can get out myself on a climb that's not my forte. How can I change, and how can I be better at this? But I certainly hope that Callum, nothing goes wrong for him, and I hope that he gets the ride that he wants on that day, because he certainly has been knocking on the door for a while for a national champs jersey. So I'm just putting that out there. Aside from that, I'm sure it'll be a pretty fun next month for you to follow along. Training's gonna be a little bit different, and it'll just be something different, which I think is brilliant for myself. It's brilliant for you. It's brilliant for my body. To push ourselves in a different way. So that's the National Hill Climb Championships of 2020. Stay tuned for this weekend's vlog, because the trial run on that course will be Saturday. It's going to be explosive. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching. Thumbs up. Cheers. Boom. 13 minutes. Wow, it's almost as long as my Pollock Hill Climb.